So this is Catherine Austin Fitz talking about this number, $21 trillion that went into black budgets.
But the money kept going missing. I kept covering it for many years. And so a process began. The largest amount that went missing in any year was in 2015, 6.5 trillion. And a professor from Michigan State University heard me talking about it and said, what can I do to help? And I had him and his students do a survey of DOD, the two agencies where the majority of money had gone missing. And he came back and found 21 trillion missing. I had it up to 12 trillion, and he increased it by 9 trillion. When 9/11 happened, they passed the Patriot Act. That made it much easier to get on budget money into the black budget, but it kept ballooning. And literally, the way some of us describe it is it was enough money to fund a separate civilization. So we called it the breakaway civilization. And literally, you funded a very significant infrastructure. And one way of looking at what's happening now is the breakaway civilization is breaking back in.
And how does it manifest itself, this breakaway civilization? How can we recognize that? How is it being built?
So, for example, in 3 years ago, I sat down and I spent 2 years with one of the best researchers I know, and we tried to estimate how many underground bases there were just in the United States alone and in the oceans immediately outside of the United States. We estimated 170. And that, of course, is the platform for all sorts of activities that you want to keep secret, including some of the things you may or may not be doing in space. So, and there was a wonderful group. There were two people at the Washington Post, I think, 2010, 2012, that did a big study. They made a database of all the secret facilities and all the facilities that had been financed through the Patriot Act or after the Patriot Act. It was called Top Secret America. And you saw this enormous explosion of money going for these activities.
So the question is, what is this money being spent on? She talks about underground bases. We know there are a undisclosed amount of facilities, mountain facilities, underground structures that crisscross entire nations. We know there are bases literally underneath the oceans. I think we know there are bases on this satellite body called the moon. There's so much going on, and the more time that you spend tracking those activities, the more you realize that the larger amount of activities is going into these secret projects. And what we're seeing is basically a theatrical version of governance for the most part, I think. But the question is why? Why are they doing this?